Hark, weary traveler of this world, dost thou feel a gentle lightness when thou steppest through thy door? Or dost a heavy shadow weigh silently upon thy chest? Know this truth: fortune is not born of mere chance, nor is it a prize to be hunted. Nay, it is something to be invited. When a home is truly filled with grace, 5 visible signs shall surely appear within its walls. These are the proofs that thou art watched over by the unseen guardians. Listen close, for if these signs dwell with thee, thy house is a fortress of peace. Let us uncover these ancient truths together, for thy sanctuary awaits its true blessing. Chapter 1: The Weight of Gold. Hark, and lend me thine ears, for I shall speak of a truth often hidden by the glitter of coins and the height of stone walls. Full many a year have I wandered this earth, stepping across the thresholds of countless dwellings. I have seen palaces that touch the clouds, and I have seen huts that barely stand against the wind. And in my travels, a great secret hath revealed itself unto me. Fortune, that elusive golden bird, is not what the world believeth it to be. 'Tis not an accident of fate, nor is it a beast to be captured by force or greed. Nay, fortune is a guest that must be invited. And when this guest entereth a home, be it ever so humble, signs as clear as the morning sun shall appear. But before we speak of the light, we must speak of the shadow. For how can one know the warmth if one hath never felt the chill? I recall a time, long past, when my path led me through a winding village road. There, I beheld a sight that puzzles the mind of the worldly man. There stood a certain house, a dwelling so small, 'twas barely more than a shelter. Its walls were aged and cracked, like the skin of an ancient tree. The roof leaned wearily, as if tired from carrying the weight of many winters. To the eyes of the common merchant, 'twas a place of poverty, a place to be pitied. Yet, as I walked past its weathered gate, a strange sensation washed over my spirit. My heart, heavy with the dust of the road, suddenly grew light. 'Twas as if a gentle breeze, unseen by the eye, flowed from within those crumbling walls. It felt warm, not the warmth of a fire, but the warmth of a soul at peace. Have ye not felt this, my friends? A place where the very air seems to embrace thee, though there be no velvet on the chairs nor silk on the windows? Now, cast thy gaze to the other side of that same village. There stood a mansion, grand and imposing. Its gates were wide and forged of iron, its garden broad and manicured with precision. Roof tiles glinted in the sun like scales of a dragon, and everyone who passed by looked upon it with envy. Surely, they whispered, fortune dwells there. But I tell thee, 'twas not so. As I drew near to that magnificent structure, a stone seemed to settle in my chest. The air grew thick, stagnant, like water in a pond that hath forgotten how to flow. My breath came short, my spirit felt burdened. 'Twas a place of coldness, hidden beneath a mask of splendor. Let us look deeper, through the walls of that great house, with the eyes of the Spirit. Let us borrow the eyes of the Master who dwelt within. Here was a man who had everything the world promised would bring joy. He sat upon a chair of finest wood, surrounded by treasures gathered from afar. Yet, silence reigned in his halls, a silence not of peace, but of isolation. His heart was a fortress, guarded by fear. Do they love me, or my gold? He would wonder in the dark of night. He possessed the land, but he did not possess the air he breathed. His wife walked softly, afraid to disturb the heavy gloom. His children grew silent, sensing the invisible weight that pressed upon their shoulders. He sought fortune outside, in more land, in higher fences, in heavier chests of coin. But the more he gathered, the heavier the air became. The chi, the flow of life, was choked by his very grasping. He was a king in a castle of ice, starving in the midst of a feast. Dost thou see the tragedy here? The difference between these two houses lay not in their timber or their stone. It lay in whether the vessel was filled with the light of blessing, or the darkness of stagnation. Many of you, watching this now, may be striving for that larger house, that higher ground. Ye believe that once the walls are painted and the debts are paid, then peace shall come. But I ask thee, is thy heart light now? When thou returnest to thy dwelling this evening, pause at the threshold. Close thine eyes. Does the air welcome thee like a mother's arms? Or does it push against thee, heavy with unsaid words and unseen worries? If thou feelest a heaviness, do not despair. For this heaviness is not a punishment, 'tis a message. It is the house itself crying out, I am full. I am full of things, but empty of life. The master of the grand house knew not that he was poor. And the dweller of the small, warm hut knew not that he was rich. For true fortune is the flow of invisible energy, the posture of the soul where it dwells. It matters not if thy roof leaks, if thy laughter is dry. It matters not if thy gate is gold, if thy spirit is cold. We are standing at the edge of a great realization, thou and I. We have seen the suffering of the gilded cage. We have felt the paradox of the wealthy beggar. But fear not, for the path to the warm hut is not closed to thee. The heavy air can be cleared. The stagnant water can flow again. But first, we must understand the shadow that we cast upon our own walls. What is this heaviness truly made of? Is it merely the dust of the world? Or is it something born from within our own weary hearts? Stay with me, brave soul. For in the next chapter, we shall hold up a mirror to the inner darkness that creates this outer gloom. We shall uncover the inner shadow. Chapter 2: The Shadow Within. Come closer, my friend, and let us peer into the mirror that hangs not upon thy wall, but stands all around thee. I speak of the house itself. For have I not told thee? A house is not merely a shelter of timber and clay. It is a living, breathing vessel. It is a small universe that reflects, with terrifying precision, the shadow of the soul that dwells within it. Thou mayest think thy secret thoughts are hidden in the dark chambers of thy heart. Thou mayest think thy silent anger, thy gnawing anxiety, and thy deep fatigue are invisible to the world. Nay, they are not. Thy house knows them, thy house absorbs them, and eventually, thy house reveals them. Consider the air within a dwelling where the heart is heavy. Have thee ever walked into a room and felt a sudden chill, though the hearth was lit? Or felt the air thick and sticky, like a swamp, though the windows were wide open? This is the shadow within. When anger accumulates, the air grows heavy, pressing down upon the shoulders like a leaden cloak. When anxiety persists, the walls seem to weep with an unseen dampness. When impatience and haste rule the day, the very atmosphere buzzes with a jarring noise that the ears cannot hear, but the spirit cannot ignore. And when sadness settles deep, the house grows cold, a coldness that no winter fire can truly banish. Let us speak of the signs, the silent screams of a house in pain. Look to the green lives that share thy space. The plants, those silent watchers, are the first to know the truth of the air they breathe. In the text of ancient wisdom, there is a tale of a neighbor, rich in coin but poor in spirit. He bought the same herbs, the same flowers as the blessed sage. He gave them the finest earth, the purest water. He commanded his servants to tend them with care. Yet, behold, the leaves turned yellow and brittle. The flowers bowed their heads and perished. Why? The neighbor scratched his head, blaming the sun, blaming the rain, blaming the gardener. But the fault lay not in the soil, but in the soul. Plants are more sensitive than any human child to the chi, the invisible breath of life. If the house is filled with the chi of strife, of jealousy, of constant irritation, the plants will sacrifice themselves. They wither because they are drinking poison from the air, the poison of a restless heart. They are the canaries in the mine of thy domestic life. If thy green friends are dying, 'tis not a lack of water. 'Tis a lack of peace. And it is not only the plants. Observe the flow of thy days. In a house where the shadow has taken root, strange misfortunes begin to dance like dust motes in the light. Objects break without cause. The bread sours too quickly. Sleep brings no rest, only dreams of running and never arriving. Thou returnest home seeking sanctuary, yet thou findest only a battlefield of silence. A housewife stands in her kitchen, the heart of the home. She sighs, a deep, heavy exhalation that rattles the very beams. Again tomorrow, she thinks. Again the same struggle. That sigh, my dear friend, does not vanish into nothingness. It settles into the corners. It weaves itself into the curtains. It becomes the very scent of the house. And thus, a cycle of suffering is born. The tired heart darkens the house. The dark house drains the tired heart. Round and round it goes, a wheel of sorrow that seems to have no break. I ask thee now, in the quiet of this moment, dost thou recognize this picture? When thou steppest through thy door, does thy chest tighten? Do family members retreat to their separate rooms, closing doors like castle gates against one another? Do arguments flare up like sudden wildfires, born from nothing but exhaustion? Why dost thou not understand me? Cries the husband. Why must I carry this burden alone? Weeps the wife. These words bounce off the walls, echoing and amplifying, until the house itself seems to vibrate with tension. This is the reality of the shadow. It is the accumulation of, I am right, and thou art wrong. It is the accumulation of, I am lacking, and I need more. But hear me well, and do not let thy heart sink into the abyss of guilt. I do not speak these words to condemn thee. To live in this world is a struggle. The winds of society are harsh, and the demands of life are cruel. 'Tis natural to carry dust upon one's coat after a long journey. 'Tis natural to feel fear. 'Tis natural to feel anger. The tragedy is not that thou hast these feelings. The tragedy is that thou hast unknowingly allowed them to become the masters of thy sanctuary. Thou hast forgotten that the house is a mirror. Thou hast tried to polish the mirror, buying new furniture, painting the walls, locking the doors, while thy own face remains stained with tears and frowns. A mirror cannot smile if the one looking into it is weeping. So here we stand, amidst the withered plants and the heavy air. We see the suffering. We feel the weight. The house is crying out. The bad luck, the stagnant air, the dying flowers, these are not punishments from an angry God. They are desperate messages from thy most loyal guardian. Thy house is saying, Master, I am heavy. Master, please, let us breathe. But how? How does one break this iron cycle? If the cause lies within, how do we extract the poison without tearing out our own hearts? The answer is surprising. It requires no great strength. It requires no vast wealth. In fact, the root of this suffering comes from doing too much, from gripping the reins of life too tightly. The shadow grows because we are trying to force the river to flow upstream. Prepare thyself, for in the next chapter, we shall unveil the true cause of this stagnation. We shall speak of the invisible chains we forge with our own hands, the chains called effort and perfection. We shall discover why the harder we try, the darker the shadow becomes. Rest now, and ponder the mirror, for the dawn of understanding is nigh. Chapter 3: The Chains of Effort. Draw near, weary souls, and let us unravel a knot that binds many a good heart. We have seen the shadow that darkens the home. We have felt the heaviness of the air. But from whence does this shadow come? Is it born of laziness? Is it born of malice? Nay, and this is the tragedy that brings tears to the eyes of the wise. The shadow is often born of love. It is born of a love that has twisted itself into a chain called effort. It is born of a desire to protect that has hardened into a wall called control. Let me tell thee a tale of a certain woman, a mistress of a house much like thine own. She was a virtuous woman. None could say she was idle. From the moment the rooster crowed until the moon was high, she did not sit. She scrubbed the floors until they shone like mirrors. She cooked meals with precision, ensuring every plate was full. She tidied the scattered toys, folded the laundry, and managed the coins. She carried the weight of the household upon her back, a solitary atlas holding up her small sky. To the world, she was a perfect mother, a perfect wife. but within the walls of her home, there was no peace. Listen now, not with the ears of a human, but with the ears of the house itself. If the wooden beams could speak, they would have screamed. For this woman did not clean with joy, she cleaned with a desperate fury. Every sweep of the broom was a battle against disorder. Every wiped table was a silent accusation against her family's mess. Her footsteps were sharp and quick, striking the floorboards like little hammers of anxiety. She moved through the rooms not like a gentle breeze, but like a storm that refused to break. The air around her was crackling with a high, thin tension. I must do this, she told herself. If I rest, everything will collapse. If I do not steer this ship, we shall surely drown. And what of her family? Her husband, sensing the storm, retreated into silence. He feared to speak, lest his words add to her burden. Her children, sensitive as little birds, hid away in their chambers. They felt her effort, not as love, but as pressure. They felt that their very existence was a source of work for her. The house, which should have been a haven, became a stage where everyone walked on eggshells. The woman thought she was holding the family together, but in truth, her perfect effort was pushing them apart. Dost thou see thyself in this mirror, my friend? Art thou the one who picks up the socks with a sigh? Art thou the one who re-washes the dishes because another did not do it right? This is the trap of the righteous sufferer. We believe that the more we suffer, the more we sacrifice, the more worthy we are of fortune. We believe that a good home is built on the sweat of endurance. But the gods of the hearth do not ask for thy sweat, they ask for thy smile. The invisible guardians of the home do not want a martyr, they want a companion. The flow of chi, the breath of fortune, is like water. It flows where there is space. It flows where there is ease. When a soul is tight with tension, when a mind is rigid with rules of how things must be, the chi cannot flow. It hits the wall of thy effort and stagnates. This woman, in her desperate need to control every outcome, had built a dam. She blocked the natural grace that sought to enter her home. She was so busy rowing the boat against the current that she never noticed the wind was waiting to fill her sails. Why do we do this? Why do we chain ourselves to this wheel of endless toil? It is because we lack trust. We do not trust our kin to find their own way. We do not trust the universe to catch us if we fall. We do not trust that we are enough, just as we are, without the armor of busyness. We think, if I stop, I am nothing. And so, the house becomes a prison of our own making. I say unto thee now, with all the gentleness of a grandfather, let go, the dust will return tomorrow, whether thou fightest it or not. The perfect meal is not worth the seasoning of thy bitterness. The house guards imply a simple truth: thou needest not carry it alone. When one person in the family decides to stop trying so hard, a miracle occurs. The tension snaps. The air softens. When the mother sits down and laughs at the chaos, the children breathe again. When the father admits he is tired and leaves the task unfinished, the home becomes human again. This is the secret of the unbeatable protection, muteki. It is not achieved by becoming a fortress of stone. It is achieved by becoming like the willow, flexible, yielding, and at ease. A home where the inhabitants have given themselves permission to be imperfect is a home where the energy flows freely. The chains of effort are heavy, indeed, but the key to unlock them lies in thy hand. It is the courage to say, it is good enough. It is the wisdom to say, I shall rest, and the world will not end. But alas, even if we drop the chains of effort, there is another shadow that lurks deeper still. A shadow that turns the heart cold and shuts the door to the gods completely. It is the silence of a heart that has forgotten how to receive. It is the arrogance of taking for granted. Stay with me, for in the next chapter, we must confront the deepest cause of our spiritual poverty. We shall speak of the silence of ungratefulness. Chapter 4: The Silence of Ungratefulness. Come, sit closer to the fire, for the air grows chill when we speak of this next truth. We have spoken of the heavy chains of effort, of the mother who scrubs away her joy. But there is a silence in the house that is more deafening than any scream. It is a coldness that seeps into the bones of the timber and turns the hearthstone to ice. It is the silence of ungratefulness. It is the arrogance of the soul that says, "This is not enough. I deserve more." Let us return to the tale of the two gardens, for it holds a mirror to this very sin. Thou rememberest the small hut where the herbs flourished like green emeralds? And thou rememberest the grand estate where the same herbs withered and died? Let us look through the eyes of that wealthy neighbor. He was a man of logic, a man of the world. When his prized flowers turned brown and fell to the earth, he did not look inward. Nay, he looked outward, as men of pride often do. He summoned his gardeners and scolded them. "The soil is poor," he cried. "Fetch me the black earth from the river valley." They brought the earth, yet the plants died. "The water is stale," he shouted. "Fetch me the clear water from the mountain spring." They brought the water, yet the plants died. It is the sun, it is the wind, it is the bad luck of the season. He blamed the sky, the ground, and the very hands that served him. He stood in the center of his dying garden, a king of complaints, blind to the truth. What he could not see, and what the plants felt with trembling clarity, was the poison in his breath. Every time he looked at his garden, he did not see its beauty. He saw only what was lacking. He saw a leaf that was too small. He saw a bloom that was not red enough. His gaze was a knife that dissected the world, looking for flaws. "Why is it not perfect?" was the song of his heart. And the plants, those sensitive spirits, drank in his dissatisfaction. They starved not for water, but for appreciation. They drowned not in rain, but in his silent scorn. Now, shift thy gaze from that garden to the inside of a modern dwelling. Perhaps a house not so different from thine own. I see a child sitting upon a soft rug, surrounded by toys of every color. Yet, the child is weeping. "I want the new one," he cries. "This one is old. This one is boring." I see a husband returning to a table set with warm food. Yet, he pokes at the meat with a frown. "Chicken again?" he mutters. "I had a taste for beef." I see a wife looking at her reflection in a sturdy mirror. "My nose is too wide," she sighs. "My dress is too plain." Do ye hear it? The chorus of "not enough." The hymn of "more, more, more." This is the silence of ungratefulness. It is a fog that blinds us to the mountains of gold we are already standing upon. The house hears this constant grumbling. The spirit of the home, that gentle guardian, listens to these words. It thinks, "I provide a roof to keep the rain from their heads. I provide walls to keep the wind from their skin. Is this not enough?" When a gift is given and tossed aside without a glance, the giver eventually stops giving. This is not punishment, it is the nature of flow. Fortune is a guest that loves to be welcomed. If she enters thy door and hears only complaints about what she did not bring, she will quietly slip away. We live in an age of envy. We look through magic glass screens at the lives of strangers. We see their feasts, their travels, their smiles. And we look back at our own lives and see only gray. Why not me? We ask. Why is my house so small? Why is my purse so light? This comparison is the thief of joy. It is the architect of the shadow. As long as thou art hunting for what is missing, thou shalt never see what is present. Thou art like a man dying of thirst while standing in a fresh water river, simply because he wishes for wine. I ask thee a hard question, my friend. When was the last time thou looked at thy front door and said, "Thank you for protecting us"? When was the last time thou held a cup of plain water and felt the miracle of its wetness? It sounds foolish to the worldly mind, does it not? But the worldly mind is the one living in the house of heavy air. True poverty is not the lack of coins. True poverty is the inability to rejoice in what thou hast. The wealthy neighbor was the poorest man in the village, for his soul was a bottomless pit that could never be filled. The old woman in the hut was the richest, for her cup overflowed with the simple joy of a green leaf. This ungratefulness creates a vibration, a low, discordant hum that disturbs the peace of the home. It is a signal to the universe that says, I am not ready for more, because I do not value what is here. It pushes the chi away. It creates a vacuum where blessings cannot stay. The gods do not dwell in a house of complaints. They flee from the noise of entitlement. But despair not, for just as a single candle can banish the dark, a single shift in thy heart can break this silence. We have seen the suffering. We have seen the chains of effort. We have seen the blindness of ungratefulness. The diagnosis is complete. The house is sick because the heart is looking the wrong way. But the cure, the cure is closer than thy breath. We are standing at the turning point. The storm has raged long enough. The night has been dark enough. It is time to stop fighting the wind. It is time to stop demanding the sun. It is time to open the door, not to seek, but to invite. In the next chapter, the wind shall change. We shall move from the heavy, why, to the gentle, I see. We shall discover that the secret to a house of fortune lies not in adding more, but in becoming a vessel that can receive. Prepare thy spirit, for the dawn is about to break, and the first step of the path is about to be revealed. We shall learn to invite the wind of change. Chapter 5: The Wind of Change. Peace be upon thee, traveler. We have walked a long and weary road together in these past minutes. We have stared into the heavy shadows of the house. We have felt the weight of the gold that brings no joy. We have heard the rattling chains of our own endless efforts. And we have tasted the bitterness of the ungrateful heart. The air has been thick. The truth has been hard. But now, I ask thee to lift thy head. Dost thou feel it? A gentle breeze is beginning to stir. The stagnant air is shifting. The clouds are parting, and a single ray of clarity is piercing through the gloom. We have reached the turning point. The struggle ends here, not because the battle is won, but because we choose to lay down our swords. Hearken to the wisdom that I, too, had to learn through many years of foolish wandering. Fortune, that blessed state of fuku, is not a beast to be hunted. It is not a prize to be wrested from the grip of the world. It is not something thou findest by climbing the highest mountain or sailing the widest sea. For years, I was like many of you. I believed that fortune was a destination. If I build a bigger house, I thought, fortune will move in. If I fill my chest with silver, I thought, fortune will sit upon it. I ran, I fought, I grasped, but the faster I ran, the further the horizon seemed to drift. Fortune was like a butterfly. The more frantically I waved my net, the more terrified she became, fleeing from my desperate grasp. Then, one day, exhausted and defeated, I sat down. I sat upon the humble earth of a small, forgotten garden. I stopped running. I stopped demanding. I simply breathed. And in that silence, a miracle occurred. The butterfly, seeing that the storm of my ambition had ceased, fluttered down. It landed softly upon my shoulder. In that moment, the great truth struck me like a bell ringing in the heavens. Fortune is not sought, it is invited. It is not a conquest, it is a reception. This is the mistake of the modern soul. We treat our lives, and our homes, as battlegrounds where we must capture happiness. But a home is not a trap for blessings. A home is a vessel. And a vessel cannot be filled if it is already full of noise, full of tension, full of the clutter of wanting. To invite the wind of God, one must first empty the room of one's own ego. I speak now to the spirit within thee. Imagine, just for a moment, that thou art holding a heavy stone above thy head. Thou hast held it for years. Thy arms are shaking. Thy back is screaming in pain. Thou believest that if thou droppest the stone, the sky will fall. This stone is thy need to control. This stone is thy fear of not enough. Now, imagine opening thy hands. Let the stone fall. Thud, it hits the ground. And look, the sky does not fall. Instead, thy arms float up, light as feathers. Thy lungs fill with air for the first time in ages. This sensation, this lightness, is the beginning of the wind of change. When we stop trying to force our house to be perfect, the house begins to breathe. When we stop demanding that our family be different, they begin to relax. This is the essence of inviting. It is the act of preparing a space of peace. Fortune is attracted to peace as a bee is attracted to a flower. It flows like water towards the lowest, calmest place. It cannot enter a heart that is clenched like a fist. It can only enter a heart that is open like a palm. Many of you ask, but how? How do I change my house when the walls are old and the roof is leaking? How do I change my luck when my purse is empty? My friend, thou art looking at the shell and missing the pearl. The true fuku is not in the wood or the stone. It is an invisible flow of chi. It is the way the soul sits within the space. A palace can be a tomb if the chi is dead. A hut can be a temple if the chi is alive. And the master of this chi is thee. Not thy money, not thy job, not thy neighbor. Thee. Thy state of mind is the thermostat of thy home. If thou art calm, the house cools. If thou art grateful, the house glows. So, let us make a pact, here and now. We shall stop seeking fortune outside. We shall stop believing that the big house, or the high land, holds the answer. We shall return to the center of our own dwelling, and more importantly, to the center of our own being. We shall start the work of the gardener, rather than the hunter. We shall till the soil of our hearts. We shall water the roots of our relationships with gentle words. And we shall trust. We shall trust that if we build a sanctuary of peace, the bird of fortune will come. She has been waiting for thee to stop chasing her. And know this: when the invitation is true, the signs will appear. The invisible grace will manifest in visible forms. There are 5 distinct marks, 5 seals of the blessed home. They are the proofs that the invitation has been accepted. They are the signals that the unseen guardians have taken up residence in thy halls. Are ye ready to see them? Are ye ready to witness what happens when the struggle ends and the flow begins? The first sign is a light that breaks the darkness of disease and sorrow. It is a sound that shakes the very foundations of bad luck. Turn the page of thy heart, for the dawn is breaking. In the next chapter, we shall behold the first ray of light. We shall speak of the third seal, the power of laughter. Chapter 6, the first ray of light. Behold, the night is fading. We have spoken of the shadows, the chains, and the silence. But now, as we stand in the center of the room where the wind of change has begun to blow, a sound breaks the stillness. It is not the sound of gold coins clinking. It is not the sound of a hammer building new walls. It is a sound far more powerful, yet light as a feather. It is the sound of laughter. This, my friends, is the third sign of the blessed home. And it is the first undeniable proof that the Nirodha, the end of suffering, has arrived. Let me take thee to a house that once knew the deepest of winters. In this dwelling lived a family with a daughter, a maiden of but 15 springs. But alas, the spring had not come to her. She lay upon her bed, weak and pale, struck by a malady that baffled the physicians. The men of medicine shook their heads, their faces grave. "Prepare yourselves," they whispered to the parents. "She shall not see another summer." The house fell into a silence so heavy it could crush a stone. The father walked with his head bowed. The mother wept in secret corners. Joy became a stranger. Hope was locked outside the gate. The air in the house was thick with the chi of sorrow, a damp, cold mist that fed the illness and starved the soul. Darkness loves silence. Disease thrives in the heavy air of despair. But one day, a voice pierced the gloom. It was the daughter, frail as a dried leaf, speaking from her pillow. "Mother, father," she whispered. They rushed to her side, expecting the end. "Please," she said, "laugh." The parents froze. "I wish to see your smiles," she continued. "I am tired of the tears. I want to remember you happy." The mother bit her lip to stop a sob. The father's voice trembled with a mixture of grief and anger. "How can we laugh?" he cried. "Our world is breaking. There is nothing funny in this hell. But the daughter looked at them with eyes that held a strange, ancient wisdom. "I am the one in pain," she said softly. "Yet I am trying to smile. If I can do it, surely you can too." Struck by her courage, the father and mother looked at one another. They felt foolish. They felt broken. But for her sake, they made a choice. They forced the corners of their mouths upward. It was a grimace at first, a mask of painted joy. "Ha, ha," the father croaked. It sounded dry and hollow. "Ha, ha," the mother joined in. It was a pathetic sound. But then, looking at the absurdity of their own faces, looking at the desperate love in each other's eyes, something shifted. The daughter giggled, a tiny, tinkling sound like a silver bell. Hearing her, the father's chest heaved, and a real laugh escaped. Then the mother. Suddenly, they were laughing. Not at a joke, but at the sheer defiance of it. They were laughing in the face of death. They were laughing to break the silence. Tears streamed down their faces, but they were no longer tears of despair. They were the rain that cleanses the earth. And then, a miracle began to unfold. It did not happen in a lightning flash, but like the slow, steady rising of the sun. From that day on, the family made a pact. "We shall laugh," they said, "every day, no matter what." And as the laughter echoed through the halls, the air in the house changed. The dampness evaporated, the cold shadows retreated, the chi began to vibrate at a new frequency. The doctor returned a month later and dropped his bag in astonishment. The girl was sitting up. The color had returned to her cheeks. "It is impossible," he muttered. But it was not impossible. The illness, which had fed upon the heavy, stagnant energy of sorrow, starved to death in the light of their joy. Eventually, the maiden walked out into the sun, fully healed. What is this magic? Listen closely, for this is a secret of the ages. Laughter is not merely a reaction to something funny. Laughter is Kotodama, the spirit of sound. It is the highest vibration a human body can produce. Anger has a heavy, low vibration that sinks. Sorrow has a slow, sticky vibration that clings. But laughter? Laughter is light. Laughter is fire. It burns away the spiritual dust. It shatters the stagnation. When a laugh rings out, a wave of golden energy explodes into the room. It hits the walls, the floor, the ceiling. It wraps around the inhabitants like a warm blanket. The house spirits, those unseen guardians, love the sound of laughter. When they hear it, they wake up. They dance. They begin to work their protection. Heaven looks down upon a house that laughs in the face of hardship and says, "Ah, here is a vessel strong enough to hold fortune." And so, fortune is poured in. My friend, I see the doubt in thine eyes. But I have nothing to laugh about, thou sayest. My debts are high. My knees hurt. My heart is lonely. I say unto thee, laugh anyway. Do not wait for the reason. Be the creator of the reason. The brain is easily tricked. Lift the corners of thy mouth. Make the sound. Ha, ha, ha. At first, it will feel like a lie. But keep going. Soon, the Kotodama will take over. The vibration will become real. Laughter is the broom that sweeps the house of its demons. Laughter is the light that terrifies the darkness. Light does not fight darkness, it simply shines, and darkness ceases to be. If thy house is silent, if the air is heavy, thou hast the power to change it this very instant. Turn to thy kin, or even to thy empty room, and let out a laugh. Laugh at the absurdity of life. Laugh at thy own grumpiness. This is the third sign. A house filled with laughter is a house that has become invincible. It is a house where the Nirodha, the end of suffering, has taken root. But laughter is but the spark. To keep the fire burning, we must tend to the living things around us. For the first sign, the testimony of the green earth, awaits our attention. In the next chapter, we shall step into the garden of the soul. We shall hear the green testimony. Chapter 7: The Green Testimony. Hush now, and listen. Dost thou hear the breathing of the earth within thy walls? We have kindled the fire of laughter to clear the air. Now, we must look to the inhabitants of thy home that possess no voice, yet speak the loudest truth. I speak of the green ones, the herbs in the clay pots, the flowers in the window box, the tree that stands sentinel by the gate. This is the first sign of the dwelling where fortune has taken root. The plants grow with a vigor that defies reason. Let us cast our minds back to the small, weathered hut of the old woman we spoke of before. But this time, let us not look with human eyes. Let us sink into the consciousness of the green leaf. Imagine thou art a small basil plant, sitting in a chipped pot on her windowsill. The soil is not rich, it is simple earth dug from the roadside. The water is not from a crystal spring, it is drawn from the common well. Yet, within this pot, thou feelest a sensation that makes thy sap flow like a rushing river. Every morning, the wooden shutter opens, and the face of the old woman appears. She does not just pour water. Nay, she pours herself. Good morning, my little ones, she whispers. Her voice vibrates through the air, a golden wave of sound. How beautiful you are today. Thank you for living with me. To the plant, these words are not mere noise. They are food. They are light. The chi of her gratitude enters thy leaves, sweeter than any sunlight. Her peace becomes thy strength. Thou stretchest thy stems toward her, not just to survive, but to dance in the warmth of her soul. In that humble pot, life explodes in a symphony of deep emerald green. This is the secret. Plants do not live by bread alone, but by the breath of the master. Now, float with me across the fence to the grand estate of the wealthy neighbor. Let us stand in the boots of his hired gardener, a man of skill and patience. He scratches his head, staring at a row of imported orchids, flowers that cost more than a year's wage. They are brown. They are shriveled. Their heads hang low in surrender. I do not understand, the gardener mutters. I have given them the finest soil, imported from distant valleys. I have fed them the most expensive nutrients. I have watered them on the hour. The master of the house strides out, his face red with perpetual irritation. Useless. He barks, his voice like a cracking whip. Why do these wretched things keep dying? Replace them. Get better ones. He kicks a stone, and the vibration of his anger shoots through the ground. The gardener trembles, but he misses the truth that the orchids know too well. If the orchids could speak, they would scream. For every time the master walks by, he emits a cloud of toxic smoke, invisible to the eye, but deadly to the spirit. His chi is jagged, hot, and suffocating. He looks at the flowers and sees only decoration, objects to possess. He demands they bloom, just as he demands his servants obey. The plants, sensitive souls that they are, try to breathe, but the air is filled with the poison of his fury. They choke, they wither. They are not dying from lack of care, they are dying from a broken heart. They are sacrificing themselves, absorbing the negative energy so that perhaps, just perhaps, the humans might be spared a little of it. Hear me, thou who watchest this tale. Plants are the green testimony. They are the litmus test of thy home's soul. They are more sensitive than a newborn babe to the invisible currents of energy. If the chi is pure, they thrive in the desert. If the chi is foul, they perish in paradise. Look around thy own dwelling. Are thy leaves turning yellow, though thou waterest them well? Do flowers drop their petals the moment they enter thy door? Do not rush to blame the florist. Do not curse the weather. This is a warning. Thy green friends are waving a flag of distress. They are saying, Master, the air is too heavy. Master, there is too much anger here. We cannot breathe. It is a sign that the shadow within still lingers. But take heart. Do not weep for the fallen leaf. Instead, accept their sacrifice with gratitude, and change the air. The path to the green sign is simple, yet it requires a warrior's discipline. Calm thy heart. Before thou touchest the watering can, take a deep breath. Release the anger of the day. Let go of the grudge against thy boss, thy neighbor, thy fate. Approach the plant not as an owner, but as a friend. Speak to it. Yes, speak aloud. Thank you for being here. You are alive, and I am alive. We are together. It may feel foolish at first. The worldly mind will mock thee. But watch what happens when thou pourest love instead of mere water. The leaves will lift, the color will deepen, a shine will appear that no wax can mimic. When the plants in thy home begin to grow wild and strong, when they bloom out of season, when they refuse to die, rejoice, for it means the chi of thy home has shifted from stagnation to flow. It means thy house has become a sanctuary of life. The first sign has appeared. The green testimony is given. And when the earth within thy house is healed, the sky above will notice. For nature calls to nature. Once the plants are singing, another guest, a winged messenger from the heavens, will begin to circle above thy roof. The second sign is preparing to land. Are ye ready to welcome the wild blessings of the air? In the next chapter, we shall look up. We shall speak of the winged messenger. Chapter 8: The Winged Messenger. Lift thine eyes now from the green earth to the azure sky. We have healed the soil within the pot. We have cleared the air with laughter. Now, we must wait for the judgment of the heavens. For there are messengers that roam the wind, creatures of pure instinct who know neither lie nor deceit. I speak of the birds. This is the second sign that the unseen guardians have firmly established their watch over thy dwelling. A bird builds its nest under thy roof. Let me weave for thee a tale of an old man, whose name has been lost to time, but whose story is etched in the book of wisdom. He lived in a small house near the edge of the whispering sea. He was alone. His wife had long since passed into the veil, and his children had scattered like seeds in the wind, forgetting the soil that bore them. His house was silent, yes, but it was not the heavy silence of the ungrateful. It was the silence of a calm ocean. He woke with the sun. He ate his simple bread with gratitude. He spoke to no one, yet he held no grudge against the solitude. His heart had become a still pool of water, reflecting the moon without distortion. One spring morning, a small shadow flickered across his porch. A bird, tiny and brown, landed upon the rafter of his eaves. It chirped, a sharp, inquiring sound. The old man sat in his rocking chair. He did not move. He did not shoo it away. He did not rush to fetch crumbs to bribe it. He simply sat, radiating a quiet welcome. Rest if thou must, little one, his heart said, though his lips moved not. The bird flew away, but returned an hour later with a twig in its beak. Then another, and another. Slowly, meticulously, a nest began to take shape. The old man watched this miracle with the eyes of a gentle grandfather. He walked softly so as not to startle his guest. He smiled as the first egg appeared, blue as a gemstone. He listened to the faint cheep-cheep of new life breaking the shell. In his solitude, he found he was no longer alone. I am trusted, he thought, and a warmth spread through his aging bones. Now, let us leave the porch of the old man and take flight. Let us see the world through the bead-black eyes of that bird. Why did it choose this humble shack when the merchant's villa stood tall just down the road? To a bird, the world of men is not made of brick and mortar. It is made of vibration. Birds possess a vision that we have lost. They see the chi, the energy waves, that emanate from a house. They flew over the merchant's villa. What did they see? They saw a storm. Though the house was quiet on the outside, the air vibrated with the jagged red spikes of greed. They felt the heat of anger rising from the arguments held the night before. They sensed the erratic, sharp pulses of anxiety whirling like a tornado. To a bird, that rich house looked like a house on fire. Who would build a nursery for their babes in the middle of a fire? They turned their wings and flew on. Then, they came to the old man's house. What did they see? They saw a cool, blue light. They felt a stillness that promised safety. The vibration of the old man's peace was steady, like a gentle hum that lulls the spirit to sleep. Here, the instinct whispered. Here, the predators of chaos cannot come. Here, we are safe. The nest is not merely a home for the bird, it is a seal of approval from nature itself. It signifies that the chaotic chi of humanity has been tamed. And hearken to the wonder that followed. That autumn, as the fledglings took their first flight, a knock came upon the old man's door. He opened it to find a face he had not seen in 10 years. His son. "Father," the young man said, looking bewildered. I do not know why I came. I just felt a sudden peace when I thought of this place. I wanted to come home." The old man wept, holding his boy. His body, which had been frail, began to strengthen. The pain in his joints vanished like mist. The bird had not only brought twigs, it had brought the flow of life itself. It had reconnected the severed threads of destiny. The neighbor, that same merchant whose garden was empty of song, came to the fence one day. "Tell me, old man," he asked, jealous and confused. "My eaves are wide. My roof is strong. Why do the swallows never build with me? Why do they choose your rotting wood?" The old man smiled, a smile as deep as the sea. "Go ask the bird," he replied softly, "for they know what you do not. My friend, I ask thee to look at thy own eaves. Is there the rustle of wings? Is there the messy, blessed bundle of straw and mud? If a bird has chosen thy house, rejoice. It is the highest compliment. It means thy home is a sanctuary of peace in a world of war. It means thou art safe. But what if the birds shun thy roof? What if they land, look around, and fly away in haste? Do not throw stones at them. Do not despair. Look inward. The bird is a mirror. It is saying, there is still a storm here. There is still a shout echoing in the walls. If thou desirest the winged messenger, thou must lower thy voice. Thou must soften the edge of thy words. Thou must create a vibration of safety. Stop the arguments that lead nowhere. Release the tension of what if and if only. Sit in thy chair, like the old man, and practice the art of being still. When thy heart becomes a calm pool, the birds will know. They are watching. They are waiting. And when the first twig is laid upon thy beam, know this. The tide has turned. The protection of the heavens has descended, and with it, the return of all that was lost. But the path does not end here. We have the green earth and the blue sky. Now we must look to the human hand. For when a man gives without thought of reward, the universe prepares a return that defies all logic. This is the fourth sign, the arrival of the unexpected helper. Are ye ready to learn the law of the harvest? In the next chapter, we shall witness the hand that reaches out from the snow. We shall speak of the hand from nowhere. Chapter 9: The Hand from Nowhere. We have witnessed the testimony of the silent earth. We have seen the messenger of the open sky. Now, we must look to the road that leads to thy door. For the fourth sign of the blessed home is the most human, and yet the most divine of all. It is this: in the hour of thy deepest darkness, a hand appears to save thee. Not a hand thou hast hired, not a hand thou hast begged for, but a hand that comes from nowhere, guided by a memory thou hast long forgotten. Let me tell thee the tale of the winter of the deep snow. There lived an old woman, bent with age, whose hands were rough as tree bark. For 40 years, she was the fool of the village, or so the merchants said. For when she had 2 loaves of bread, she gave one to the beggar. When a traveler fell sick on the road, she took him in, washing his fevered brow with cool water, though she had little coin for medicine. She gave not from her overflow, but from her substance. People whispered, "She is mad. She saves nothing for her own winter." The old woman heard them, but she only smiled. "The heart cannot keep what the hand refuses to give," she would say. And so, she sowed seeds. Thousands of tiny, invisible seeds of kindness, scattered on the wind of time. Then came the winter that froze the very breath in the throat. The snow fell for 7 days and 7 nights. The old woman was now frail. Her legs could no longer carry her to the woods. Her firewood box was empty. Her cupboard was bare. The cold crept into her small house like a silent wolf. She lay upon her thin mattress, pulling her threadbare blanket to her chin. She felt the life ebbing from her toes. "It is finished," she thought without fear. "I have lived a good life. I am ready to go." She closed her eyes, waiting for the final sleep. But hark! Thud, 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 a sound upon the heavy wooden door. She thought it was the wind, but it came again, urgent and strong. With her last ounce of strength, she unlatched the bolt. A blast of icy wind rushed in, and with it, a young man wrapped in furs. His face was flushed with cold, his breath pluming like dragon smoke. He did not speak at first. He looked at her, then at the empty hearth. Without a word, he turned and ran to his sled. He returned with armfuls of dry logs. He struck the flint. He blew on the tinder. Soon, a roaring fire cracked the silence of the room. He heated a pot of soup he had brought. He dipped bread in it and held it to her lips. As the warmth returned to her blood, the old woman gazed at him. "Who art thou?" she whispered. "I have no coin to pay thee." The young man sat back, tears shining in his eyes. "Do you not know me?" he asked. "Nay," she said. "I am the stranger," he confessed. "I am the son of the man you found in the ditch 20 years ago." He took her rough hand in his. "My father died last spring. But on his deathbed, he made me swear an oath. There is a saint in the valley, he told me. She saved my life when no one else would look at me. Go to her, watch over her, for her kindness is the reason you were born." The young man lowered his head. "I was passing by on the main road today, intending to go to the market. But when I neared your cottage, something pulled at my chest. A voice in my head said, 'Stop, stop now.' I thought it was madness, but I obeyed. And here I am." The old woman wept. She had forgotten the man in the ditch. It was but one afternoon in a lifetime of afternoons. But the universe had not forgotten. The seed she had planted 2 decades ago had grown into a tree, and now, in her winter, it bore fruit. And the miracle did not end there. The next day, a woman from the neighboring village fought through the drifts to bring warm blankets. "You nursed my mother," she said. The day after, a woodcutter left a pile of timber by her gate. "You gave me water when I was a boy," he said. One by one, they came. The ghosts of her kindness returned in flesh and blood to stand between her and the cold. The old woman survived the winter. She lived to see the spring, surrounded by love. This, my friends, is the law of the harvest. It is the mechanism of unbeatable protection. When we help others without thought of reward, we are banking credit in the treasury of heaven. We think our deeds are lost. We think no one saw. But the unseen guardians are the bookkeepers of the soul. They miss nothing. The 4th sign is not luck. It is a withdrawal from the account thou hast built. If thou findest that in thy time of trouble, no hand appears. If thou criest out and hearest only the echo, do not curse the world. Ask thyself this hard question. Have I sown any seeds? Have I given when it was inconvenient? Have I loved when it was hard? If the answer is nay, then do not despair. Start today. Open the door. Look at the stranger. Offer the cup of water. Lend the listening ear. It matters not how small the deed. The seed does not need to be a melon, it can be a grain of mustard. But it must be sown. A home where the hand from nowhere appears is a home that has radiated light into the world. And because light reflects, it returns to the source, magnified tenfold. This is true security. No lock, no sword, no wall can protect thee like the gratitude of those thou hast helped. Karma is the ultimate shield. Now, we have healed the earth, the sky, and the human bond. There remains but one final seal, the most subtle, yet the most profound of all. It is the sign that the very soul of the house has been purified. It is something thou canst not see, nor hear, nor touch. But when thou closest thine eyes and takest a deep breath, thou shalt know if God dwells with thee. The 5th sign awaits. In the final chapter, we shall breathe in the fragrance of the soul. Chapter 10: The Fragrance of the Soul. We have arrived, my fellow traveler, at the final gate. We have seen the green life that springs from the soil. We have heard the song of the bird that trusts the roof. We have felt the warmth of the hand that reaches out from the storm. We have cleansed the air with the golden bell of laughter. Now, we must speak of a sign that cannot be seen with the eye, nor touched with the hand. It is the most subtle of all, yet it is the surest test of the spirit. It is the fifth sign the house possesses a pleasant fragrance. Do not mistake my meaning. I speak not of the scent of cut flowers, which fade in a day. I speak not of the smoke of incense, which masks the air. I speak of the scent of the air itself, the aroma of the soul of the house. Let me tell thee the tale of a man who sought a dwelling place. He was a man of means, looking for a home where he could rest his weary head after long battles in the marketplace. He visited many houses. The first was a palace of white stone. The floors were marble, the chandeliers were crystal. But the moment he stepped across the threshold, he stopped. He sniffed the air like a hound. Nay, he said. The estate agent was baffled. But sir, this is the finest house in the city. It may be fine to the eye, the man replied, but it smells of rust. It smells of old anxiety. He could not explain it, but the air felt sticky. It coated his throat with a metallic taste. He knew, with a wisdom deeper than logic, that if he slept there, his dreams would be troubled by the ghosts of greed. He visited another. It was modern, sharp, and clean. Yet, he felt a heaviness in his chest. This one smells of cold ash, he muttered. There is no life here. Only loneliness. He rejected house after house, though they were perfect on paper. His friends called him foolish. You are too picky, they cried. But he trusted his nose, for the nose is the gateway to the primitive soul. Then, one rainy afternoon, he found himself standing before a small, aged cottage. The paint was peeling. The gate hung slightly askew. The garden was wild. He expected nothing, but as he pushed open the creaking door, he froze. He took a deep breath, in and out. A smile, unbidden and soft, spread across his face. Here, he whispered. It is here. What did he smell? It was not lavender. It was not rose. It was a scent like a high mountain meadow after a storm. It was a scent like fresh linen dried in the sun. It was the scent of cleanliness. Not the cleanliness of bleach, but the cleanliness of a spirit at peace. He felt his shoulders drop. The knot in his stomach untied itself. This is the place, he declared. I shall live here. And hearken to what followed. From the first night he slept under that modest roof, his life began to change. For years, he had tossed and turned, fighting the demons of insomnia. Here, he slept deep and dreamless, waking with the sun, refreshed as a child. His work, which had been stagnant, suddenly flowed like a river after the thaw. People he met smiled at him, drawn to the calmness he now radiated. Why? Because he was soaking in the chi of the house. He realized then the scent was the soul of the house. Just as a rotten fruit emits a foul odor, a rotten spirit emits a heavy stench. Just as a fresh apple smells sweet, a pure spirit emits a fragrance of light. The chi, the energy of the universe, has a smell. Say no chi. Life energy smells crisp, sweet, and light. Ya no chi. Negative energy smells damp, heavy, and sour. We humans, though we have forgotten much, still possess the animal instinct to smell danger and to smell safety. That man found the fifth sign. He found a house where the previous owners had lived with gratitude, where the walls had absorbed love, where the air had been circulated with joy. Now, I ask thee to perform a test. When this story ends, go to the center of thy room. Close thine eyes. Forget the furniture. Forget the dust on the shelf. Take a deep breath through thy nose. What dost thou smell? Is there a lightness that lifts thee up? Or is there a heaviness? A scent of something stale? A smell of old arguments? If thou smellest the heavy scent of stagnation, do not fear. For scent, like air, can be changed. But thou canst not change it with air fresheners alone. Thou must clean the source. Open the windows. Yes, physically throw them open. Let the wind of the world sweep through thy halls. But more importantly, open the windows of thy heart. The stench of a house often comes from the rotting rubbish of the mind. Anger that is held too long begins to smell. Resentment that is hidden under the rug begins to decay. Anxiety that is not released turns the air sour. If thy house feels heavy, it is time to perform the great cleansing. Stand in the wind and say, I release my anger. I release my fear. I forgive those who have hurt me. I forgive myself. Let it go. Let it flow out the window. When the heart is scrubbed clean of these poisons, the scent of the house changes instantly. The fragrance of the soul returns. This is the final secret. The house is not a separate thing from thee. It is the external lung of thy internal breath. If thou art pure, thy house is sweet. If thy house is sweet, fortune, that golden bird, will not only visit, she will build her nest and stay. We have walked the full path now, from the weight of gold to the green leaf, from the bird on the roof to the laughter in the hall, from the helping hand to the scent of peace. These are the 5 signs. They are not myths. They are the physics of the spirit. They are the promise that thou art not alone. Thou art watched. Thou art guarded. Thou art loved. The invisible guardians are waiting for thee to give the signal. They are waiting for thee to invite them in. And now, as the fire burns low and our tale comes to its end, let us gather these truths into one final bundle. Let us prepare to step back into the world, not as we were, but as masters of our own sanctuary. The journey ends, but the life begins. Summary: the eternal flame. The journey of words endeth here, yet thy true path beginneth this very night. Fortune is not a mountain to be conquered in a single day, but a garden to be tended, seed by small seed. Look not for thunderous miracles in the sky, but kindle the small flame within thy heart. I ask thee, speak but one word of thank you to thy walls before thou sleepest. That single whisper shall become the light that warms the cold air and guides thee and thy kin. Fear not the shadows, for the light is in thy hands. Go in peace, for thou art protected, and thy home shall be thy haven. Thank you for watching. With gratitude.